Surprise Comics.
In this video, we're talking about my first Grail pickup of 2023. And in this video, we're going to discuss why I picked the book I did, why I bought it now at the time that I did. I also want to take a look at a premium format statue that I bought from Sideshow Collectibles to go with the Grail. And lastly, I want to talk about my buying experience at Heritage Auctions, because I think there's some really interesting conversation pieces and some tips that I want to provide that will be helpful to people about buying from Heritage. But before we hop into that, I do have a new Whatnot show coming up this Friday, January 27th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Link in the description to go bookmark the show, or for $15 towards your first purchase. It's going to be a slab show. Everything starts at $1. Plus I'll have things in the Buy It Now for $15. So if you want to stop by it and it's your first time, you can pick up a free book. You can also find me over on Instagram for trades for grails and fresh content over there. And we also do a monthly giveaway here on the YouTube channel. If you subscribe, comment, and like this video, you're entered to win a Clayton Crane signed Virgin book this month. And if you head over to brycecomics.com and sign up for the newsletter, you're also entered to win a free slab each and every month. And that's where I send out first access to new collections, new inventory that comes through the shop. Use code COLLECT10 for 10% off all in-stock items. And there's a whole bunch of new stuff coming very soon. So without further ado, here's the big reveal. Here's the first Grail of 2023. Bam, baby! X-Men number 4 in a 7.5 UK price variant. So first things first, you start up at the top left corner. It says Stan Lee story, Jack Kirby and Paul Reinman cover and art. It's a 7.5 UK price variant. First appearance of Quicksilver, first appearance of Scarlet Witch, first appearance of Toad and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and the second appearance of Magneto. And you got that Jack Kirby goodness. Look at the expression on Magneto's face. And the number one thing that stood out to me about this book, aside from it being a UK price variant, is the color strike. When you look up there at the trade dress, the red around the yellow X-Men trade dress is dripping. I mean, this book is such a nice copy of a 7.5. It looks like it just rolled off the press. The yellows are absolutely stunning. The gradient between the red and the yellow and the orange is just beautiful. It's just a beautiful book, a beautiful example of this book. And God, I'm just getting chills just looking at it. This is the fourth time that I've looked at this today, and I am getting absolute chills just looking at this. I am absolutely thrilled that this is my copy of this book. And one of the things I wanted to note about this that I think is so cool, it kind of adds to the cool factor, is you look at Scarlet Witch and she's green there on the cover, and you look at Quicksilver and he's blue. And inside in the story, Scarlet Witch is red and Quicksilver is green. And this just comes down to, it was an artistic choice. They thought that if they had a red character right next to Magneto and he was red, that would detract from it. And then they thought that, you know, since Quicksilver was green, they couldn't have another green character, so they made him blue. It just seems kind of odd. But what I think that this also signifies, and why I think this is so cool, and you see it a lot with some of these really early Grails, is when they were creating these characters, it seems to me like they weren't even thinking that these were going to be monumental pieces and characters of comic book history and of pop culture. They weren't thinking that Scarlet Witch would go on to headline some of the biggest blockbuster movies of all time. So they were able to make a decision like, well, let's just make her green, you know, and that's what's so cool about it to me. It just totally adds to the cool factor for this book. And then you flip it over and look at the backside. Just a beautiful, beautiful copy of this book. So now that we've taken a closer look at the book, let's hop on the computer and look at some really interesting sales data for this book. Here we are in gpanalysis.com, and we're looking at X-Men number 4. I want to take a look at some pricing of this and then take a look at the CGC census, starting with the 7.5 cent edition. So the cent edition here, the last sale was in December of 2022 for $4,800. And if you take a look at the graph, this book peaked for $10,500 in the 7.5, right around the peak of the market. This was the perfect storm for Scarlet Witch. We had the Doctor Strange, we got hit so hard with all of the pump for that movie and this book. And on top of that, just the general increase in the market overall. So this was a perfect storm. This book peaked at $10,500. But if we look at the most recent sale at $4,800, I mean, that is more than 50% down from that peak, which, you know, this peak may be insignificant. Maybe we should just ignore it altogether. But I think the fact that it's more than 50% down from that means that we're certainly approaching safe territory to buy in for this book. Could it go down even further? Absolutely. I could see it going down 10%, 20%, 30% more is totally within the realm of possibility. Maybe it goes back down here to 2019 prices around $2,000. But I just can't see this book ever selling for $2,000 anymore. I mean, that would be more than a 50% drop from today. And I just don't see it going down that far. Is it within the realm of possibilities? Absolutely. But let me tell you why I don't care and why I bought this book. The reason I bought it, and the only reason I bought it today, is that it's the UK price variant. Here you can see the 7.5 UK price variant, and this is my sale, $4,080 plus shipping fees. It came to about $41.25 or something like that. And you can see here, my sale is the only recorded sale in history of a 7.5 UK price variant. There are 0 other recorded sales. This book just does not trade hands nearly as often as the Sense edition. Of course, there's just so many less of them. And if we look down here at the 7.0, there's only 2 recorded sales in history of the 7.0 UK price variant, one in 2013 and one almost 10 years later in January or February of 2022. So I actually paid about $400 less than the 7.0 price variant. Of course, this was, you know, at an elevated time in the market. But let's take a look at the CGC census here. So here we can see the Cent edition has 126 7.5s, and it has about 250 copies graded higher. Okay, let's look at the UK edition. 2 7.5s, 3 graded higher. I have one of the top 5 graded examples in the world of one of my favorite MCU characters. I mean, I am absolutely thrilled about this purchase because of just how incredibly rare it is. And so, you know, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I mean, would you rather have a copy of this that's the top 5 graded examples in the world, or would you rather have one over here that's like the top 375 graded examples in the world? For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I'm not going to hammer on it too hard. Oh my God, you guys, look at this statue. I am so incredibly impressed and happy with the way that this looks. You got Wanda there using her chaos magic to destroy Ultron. You got his face all twisted and contorted. You've got this epic pose that she's in. Just the placement of her hands and her arms, the wrinkles in all the right places, her legs, the way that she's suspended here by the chaos magic, all of these discarded, broken pieces of Ultron there at the bottom, and then the cape. So this cape is fabric, and it has a wire in the hem, so you can move it and position it in whatever dramatic display that you want. I think this one works pretty good for me. So there you can see more of this velvety, flowing cape, and check out the hair and the back. The detail on this is just incredible. And then when you look down here at the base from the back, just such cool reds and pinks. Moving around to the front, just an absolutely epic piece. I am so happy with this. The one thing is her teeth look really weird, but you know, it's not terrible, and you can't really see it from here because she's kind of looking down a little bit. I am incredibly pleased with the way that this statue looks and the way that it turned out. Now I want to talk about the buying experience on Heritage. This was my first big purchase from Heritage, and there was things that I like about it and things that I don't like about it. But overall, it was a good experience, and I absolutely will be buying from them again. I just think that there are some helpful tips that I can provide to other people, especially people who haven't bought from them before or considering them for the first time. So let's start with what I liked about it. The number one thing that I like about Heritage Auctions is the pictures, the photos that they provide of the books. You can really zoom in on them and you can really get a good idea of if a book is a CPR candidate or not. Some auction houses, really make it difficult to do that, but Heritage has some of the best pictures in the industry. The second thing that I like about Heritage is the selection, all right? This book never comes up for sale. I mean, this was the first recorded sale in history for this book, and Heritage had it. And also the 7.0 UK edition that came up was also at Heritage. And a lot of times you'll find these single highest graded books at Heritage auctions. So if you're after a book like that, they may be the only show in town. And in that sense, anything you don't like about it doesn't really matter because they have the thing that you want. But when you're talking about auctions or more common books, you do have options, books that come up all the time in 9.8. So I would encourage you to dip your toes in different waters, to try all of these different auction houses because some excel in certain areas and others don't. So there's mycomicshop.com has great auctions that often get overlooked. Comiclink.com has great auctions. Some really rare books come up for sale over there as well. Comic Connect has some good auctions, and they all have a little bit different of buyer's premium, so you just familiarize yourself before you jump into it. You don't want to make an impulse decision, especially if it's your first time. The last thing that I liked about Heritage is I did have to call customer service, and they had great customer service for the one time that I called. I haven't had a lot of experience, but the one experience that I had here was a really good customer service experience. So what I don't like about Heritage, well, first of all, the time it took to ship, it was a little long. It took them 3 weeks to actually ship the item to me. It is what it is. If you're going for this book that's super rare, you just have to bite the bullet and just wait, hurry up and wait. But nobody likes to wait for their books, so they do take a little while to ship the books, but it's not that big of a deal. The next thing that I didn't like is that the buyer's premium is not part of the bid button. So when you're in the live room and you're placing a bid on the book, if you bid $10,000, you're really going to have to pay $12,000 because the bid technically doesn't include the buyer's premium. All right. They do show it on screen. It says right there in parentheses with buyer's premium, $12,000. But if it's your first time, you could miss this little fact. And I definitely missed it with mine. I bid $3,400. The most I wanted to spend was $4,000. And so I thought, oh, wow, I got it for $3,400. And then I realized at the end, oh, that doesn't include the buyer's premium, even though it did say it right there on the screen. This was totally my mistake. And I guarantee you that you will not make this mistake twice. So I bid $3,400 and had to actually pay $4,080 plus shipping. It came out to like $4,100. So when you're in the live auction with Heritage and they're going, let me get $10,000. Do I hear $10,000? 10,000. He's really saying you're bidding 10,000, but you're really going to have to pay 12,000. And so I had a friend recently that called and said, he got a little bit crazy with the bidding on a book. He ended up spending $25,000. He bid, $20,000 and some change. And the bidding was a little bit high. He said the bidding got out of control. And then he realized at the end, oh no, I forgot about the 20% buyer's premium, because when they're asking for bids, they're not telling you the buyer's premium. So he had to pay an additional 20% to that. So something to be aware of on all auction houses is know how they calculate and do the buyer's premium before you bid. Make sure you know what you're actually going to have to pay. So the next thing that I don't like about the Heritage auctions is the way they break out the books into sessions. So most other auction houses for comic books, you'll know the exact time that the comic that you're interested is ending. So you can just set a reminder and go and be there in that exact moment, so you can place your final bids and all of that. With Heritage, they break down the books into sessions. So for example, this one, I was interested in the X-Men 4. That was part of session number 2, and there was maybe about 100 books in that session. So I had to actually tune in and wait for my book to show up. I mean, ahead of time, you know what lot number yours is. So if yours is lot number 50 and they start with lot number 1, you can kind of estimate when your book is going to come up for sale. But it's annoying because you never know exactly when. Each book takes a little bit different of time depending on how many bids there are. And this is all by design, by Heritage. They want you to be in the room for the whole session so that maybe you bid on a book that you weren't planning on bidding on. I mean, this is definitely part of the design of the whole program. I don't really like that about it. I wish that you would know exactly when that book is going to come up for sale. So there's several different types of auctions at Heritage Auctions. One of them is you just tune in on your computer and there's no person there or anything, but each comic comes up individually. You bid on it. When that one sells, the next one comes up. And then there's another form of auction where there's actually a live auctioneer, talking to you and trying to get you to bid. And before I comment on that, let's just go ahead and take a look at an actual recording from this sale.
Don't stop now. Obviously, a lot of interest in this. If you want this in your collection, it might not come around again tomorrow, let alone it certainly won't be the mile high. Let's go 24. At $22,000 right here, 24. You have the spot picked out so nicely in your cabinet or in the box that you have it with. Maybe you won't have all the rest and you don't have the number 10. Let's go to $24,000. I have 22,000 right here, 24. 22 is where I'm at, 24 is where I need to be. I will say, fair warning, at $22,000. $22,000.
So there when he says $22,000 and writes it down like that's the sell price, it's actually $26,400 with the buyer's premium. So just something to keep in mind there. And that just gives you an idea of the type of things that you're going to see and you're going to hear. It's just like any other auctioneer or salesperson. He's saying, don't stop now. Some of the things you'll hear are things like, the last thing you want to do is hold your breath. Do I see $28,000? Do not be that guy that wakes up tomorrow morning kicking yourself that you didn't buy this book. Give me $30,000. The last thing you want to do is hold your breath. The only purchases that you regret are the ones that you don't make. I mean, that's the type of stuff that's going to get thrown at you. And my absolute favorite that I've ever heard one of the auctioneers say, it was the first appearance of the Red Hood. I think it ended up selling for like $300,000. It was the single highest graded copy. And, he says things like, this book is incredibly difficult to get in high grade, and this one is perfect. Do I hear $200,000? The thing of it is, it was a 9.4. It's not perfect, So it's just, as a reseller, this is nothing more to me than annoying. It's just a little bit annoying. As a seller myself, I think it's really important to keep a close bridle on what you say. I never personally want to misrepresent something. I would never, for the life of me, ever say that a 9.4 is perfect. I also would never say things like, you're just never gonna find this. I might say something like, this book is incredibly difficult to find. That could be true. But to say, you're never gonna find this, you'll see this all over the place in, whatnot, on Instagram live sales, at auction houses. The thing about saying something that's not true about a book, and I'm not necessarily talking about Heritage here, it could also be on Instagram or whatnot, is if you're overselling something and saying something like, you're not gonna find this, when you actually can find it. The thing is, it doesn't work. It doesn't help to sell the book. I see people all the time, saying this, and then guess what? It still doesn't sell. With comic books, you don't have to oversell them. They sell themselves. They are so incredibly awesome. And if you just highlight the actual factual attributes of the book, you know, say things like, this is the single highest graded, there hasn't been a sale of this in over 10 years. The actual facts about the book are enough to sell the book. Anytime you try to embellish it and oversell it, I think you lose credibility and you lose faith from your buyers. And I don't think it works. Now, the interesting thing about this is, if Heritage didn't think that it worked, they wouldn't do it. Obviously, they are bringing in a little bit more money by having these live auctioneers. My advice to you, if it's your first time or whatever, is if you're going to one of these sales, just mute the salesman. There's a little button right there, you can mute him. And the reason I would just mute him is he's not going to provide any new information that will inform your decision about buying that book. All right, all of the information can be had before the auction even starts. So tip number 1 is mute the auctioneer. Tip number 2 is go into the auction knowing what your max bid is. Play the tape through. Play the tape through in your head and say, well, what if it goes up to, $5,000? Am I willing to go to $5,200? What if it goes up to 52? Am I willing to go to 54? Don't make the decision in the heat of the moment. Research the book, know what the recent sales were, and know what the maximum you are willing to pay. So I want to hear from you guys down in the comments below. Do you think that this age-old tactic of auctioneers and the way that they're selling these huge grail books, do you think it impacts the value of the book, the prices that these books realize? I'm curious to know what you guys think. I would like to think that, it doesn't impact it that much, but then I have the fact that they do it, and that leads me to believe that it does impact the price. I think one of the things impacting the fact that you get like these anomaly highs on Heritage, a book that sells all the time, but for whatever reason on Heritage it sold for way more in a certain auction. I think one explanation of that is that new buyers don't understand the buyer's premium is added, even though it says bid and the price on the bid, that buyer's premium is added after that. I think that would explain a lot of the anomaly high sales. Either way, I'm happy with my purchase. I'm absolutely thrilled with my purchase. I will be buying from them again. So there she is, folks, in all her glory. Oh my freaking God. I am so thrilled and happy with these two purchases. I gotta say that the statue addition to the Grail totally changes the game. It totally changes the game, and it really steps it up a notch. As far as displaying, as far as my enjoyment factor, I actually just pre-ordered an Incredible Hulk statue, a massive, just amazing Incredible Hulk statue that's like the original gray Incredible Hulk, in anticipation of when I buy Incredible Hulk #1. So I couldn't be more happy with this. Don't forget to check me out over on Whatnot this Friday, January 27th at 5 p.m. Pacific time for an all slab show. There's going to be giveaways. It's going to be a banger. I'm going to have a preview video up soon on Whatnot, and subscribe, comment, and like this video for your chance to win a free slab. And head over to BryceComics.com. Check out the new stuff that's in store. More stuff coming very soon. Use code COLLECT10 for 10% off. And sign up for the newsletter over there to be entered to win a free slab each and every month. Thank you as always for sticking with me to the end. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bryce Comics.